Hello gamers and welcome back to a new installment of the Memory of Chaos. This time our memory turbulence is called Reindeer Strife, and what it does is after an ally uses a follow-up attack, it reduces the attacked enemy's all-type resistance by 30% for 2 whole turns. So when I read about that, I got quite excited because we did pull Blade. And of course this buff is going to be pretty great for him since he's using a lot of follow-up attacks. But there's another character that I've been using for quite a while who's pretty well equipped. And he is also doing a lot of follow-up attacks, namely Jing Yuan. And I kind of thought, okay, with only those 2 characters already, I have a lot of AoE follow-up attacks. So this might actually not be too hard this time. And then another character came to mind, which I've been using quite a lot. March 7th, you might be forgetting about her, but her counterattacks, they also count as follow-up attacks. So she's going to make use of this buff as well. And there are so many other characters that you could be using, like Clara has follow-up attacks, Himiko of course has follow-up attacks, Herta, even if you're using her. And Yanqing, I think, also has follow-up attacks. You know, there are just a lot of options this time. A lot of characters that you could be using to make use of this buff fully. So, quite honestly, I think this might be one of the easiest Memories of Chaos so far. But yeah, let's get into the fights. Let's see how I did it. So for the first fight of Memory of Chaos 9, we are fighting these Sanctus Medicus enemies again. They are weak against Imaginary and Wind. So far, we've been using a Quantum Imaginary comp against those, and I simply used Silver Wolf to basically force a Quantum weakness on the enemies to, get around of the issue of me not having a Wind-based DPS character. This has changed this time around though, because Blade came out, and yeah, we pulled Blade. And, he's a DPS, he's not as strong as my Seele for sure, but since he is using a lot of follow-up attacks, which are going to trigger the Memory Turbulence, I thought, you know what, let's swap them out, let's see how he does, and he's doing pretty well, to say the least. I'm combining him with Silver Wolf because I don't really have a good support for him. Tingyun is not really that great, I think, for Blade. She works, but she doesn't work too well because she is mainly buffing attack. And Blade doesn't really care too much about attack. He's more like, he's more like, guys, I like my HP. I wanna be beefy, and then I do more damage when I get beefy. So yeah. We are pairing him with Silver Wolf simply because I don't really have anything better, and, Silver Wolf is not buffing any characters, she is debuffing the enemies, and, that works for whatever kind of scaling you have on a character, so that is what we are doing here. If you happen to own Bronya though, she is definitely the best support there is for Blade at the moment. And it's not because she is the same element, it's not because they're both wind, it is because Bronya's kit just fits Blade so well. She's making him have more turns, which means he is getting more of his stacks, which means he is more often going to use his follow-up attacks, and especially because Blade is not really using a lot of skill points, that also works really nicely combined with Bronya, because she is using a lot of skill points. And, that kind of balances that out, and they are just a great pair together. Another great character to pair with Blade is Luocha. They both work really well together simply because Blade is this kind of edgy guy, he likes to hurt himself whenever he's trying to deal damage, and that can get quite unhealthy. But if you have Luocha's field up, whenever Blade attacks, he does, of course, remove some HP from himself, but he basically heals it back immediately simply by making use of Luocha's shield. Another thing is, whenever Blade uses his ultimate, his HP gets put at a fixed 50% of his max HP, and that is going to automatically trigger Luocha's heal, So, you know, it's just a very nice and satisfying combination to have these two together. For the final character in my party here, I'm using Velt. He's a great imaginary type character, so he works well against these enemies who are weak to imaginary. He's also dealing some pretty decent DPS while debuffing the enemies with slows and also imprisonment, which is basically just making it so that the enemies have less turns. So for the final wave of this battle, we are basically completely trying to focus on this Sanctus Medicus boss enemy, since I do consider him the more annoying boss enemy. But luckily for us, we are dealing a lot of AoE damage as well, so quite frequently we actually manage to break both toughness gauges of these bosses at once. And that makes this whole fight pretty easy for us. Thanks to Luochar's amazing heal, we also don't really need to pay too much attention to what is happening to our party. And we can simply basically focus on, you know, trying to get these enemies killed as quickly as possible. Maybe save some turns up to make it easier for our second party, even though I'm pretty confident in those guys as well. After getting rid of the Sanctus Medicus enemy, we only have this Void Ranger Trampler left. And he basically cannot even touch us anymore because he just continuously suffers from a broken toughness gauge, from imprisonment, and so on and so on. Okay, so we start the second fight with 34 cycles remaining. That is quite a lot. We are using our Tingyuan combo here, and I paired them with Natasha for some healing in case we need it. And of course, one of my favorites, March 7th. She can also use her shield to trigger those counter attacks that she has. Those do count as follow-up attacks, so they are going to trigger the memory turbulence as well, but quite honestly, most of the time that is not even needed, because Jingyuan and his Lightning Lord, they are continuously applying follow-up attacks to all of the enemies, so that basically means that the memory turbulence for me in this team is always active on every single enemy. March is going to mostly use her shield on herself to increase her taunt value, but I do want to apply some shields to other characters for the final phase of this battle when we are fighting Svarog, because I believe most of you guys know his hand can be quite annoying if he, you know, if the hand grabs the wrong character, it can get quite nasty, so I want to make sure that my defenses are topped as much as I can while we are taking out these enemies. I was actually surprised at how quickly we are getting rid of these waves. I'm not too used to my Jingyuan dealing so much damage, but I guess thanks to the memory turbulence that is basically always active for this team, yeah, we are making very short work of these guys. For the final wave of this fight, we are finally dealing with Svarog and one of his robot buddies, which we don't really care too much about. We are going to completely focus our attacks on Svarog. Jingyuan obviously is going to deal AoE damage, but you know, any auto attack I can get with all of my my ladies here, I want to use on Svarog. He's going to soon summon his hand, which is going to grab one of my characters and basically takes them out of the battle for a little while. Because of that, I'm currently buffing some of my characters with shields. Just in case, you know, in case I get unlucky with whichever character gets grabbed. I'm just making sure that my characters stay healthy. Our Lightning Lord is of course doing most of the work here when it comes to damage. And I believe Svarog is now going to summon his hand buddy anytime soon. Yeah, there we go. Who is he going to grab? Let's see if we get lucky or not. Okay, so he grabbed Tingyuan. Of course he grabbed her. Who else would he grab but Tingyuan? Right. Okay, anyway. That's actually not too bad. It would be worse if he, for example, grabbed my healer or my damage dealer. So this is actually totally fine with me. We can get her out quite easily. You know, just a minor annoyance. not too much of an issue. Okay, she's free already. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys did not realize that by yourself, Svarog is completely immune to any kind of crowd control. So right now I'm not getting unlucky with my freezes. It is just impossible for me to freeze him, unfortunately. His robot pal on the right, however, is not immune to freezing, so we are making good use of that for sure. Probably going for one more freeze here by breaking the toughness gauge. Yep, almost dead. One more auto attack. Natasha should be enough. There we go. And now we are only dealing with Svarog. Well, I guess him and his hand. But that really shouldn't be any issue now. And in the end, Svarog decided to be annoying just one more time by grabbing my tank. Of course, we are really mad about that, so yeah, we are dealing with him right away. Time to free march and end this fight. So that's it for Memory of Chaos 9. 30 cycles remaining, so we did amazingly well. 10 cycles faster than what we even needed. So yeah, not too bad. Let's dive into the final stage, stage 10, where we are fighting Kafka once again. So for this one, my setup was basically immediately clear because I saw, okay, there's one party, there's one enemy team that's weak to lightning, and there's one enemy team that is weak to wind and imaginary. So that basically didn't leave me too many options. I decided to use my Trailblazer of fire here, combined with Natasha and of course my lightning combo Tingyuan and Jingyuan. And then for the second fight we are using Silverwolf, Blade and our two imaginary boys. Seeing as how our teams are basically almost the same as before, with the only difference being that March got replaced by the Trailblazer, this shouldn't be too different strategy-wise. Of course, we are going to battery up our Jingyuan as much as possible, and then we are, you know, using the power of the Lightning Lord to get rid of these enemies as quickly as possible. I'm pretty sure the first wave is not going to survive too long. They are probably going to die to the Lightning Lord right now. Yes, they definitely will. So we are basically already in the second wave, where we are fighting, oh yeah, the Frigid Power. Nothing too troublesome. Going to use my Fire Trailblazer's ultimate here immediately, because this boss enemy is also weak to fire. So that's some nice damage on the toughness gauge. Of course, since we are dealing so much AoE damage, I do not really need to care about any of the smaller enemies. You know, the only thing I'm paying attention to is the big one here, the Prowler. But even that guy is not too much of a problem for us. We are dealing enough damage with the Lightning Lord, maybe like 2 or 3 more times. And he's going to be history as well. And then we can finally deal with the final wave. So, I hate these guys. Once again, we are facing 2 Guardian Shadows at once. You need to be a bit careful about these guys, because once they use their Binding of the Golden Age, they are going to get 9 stacks. And for every stack that you do not remove by attacking them, they are going to deal quite a lot of damage to your characters. So what you usually want to do is, well, either you have some strong AoE setup, like I do, and you can hit them both at once, or if you can do that, if you only have a single target damage, I would recommend that you try to break one of these enemies, and the other one you just attack as many times as possible to get rid of those stacks. So basically you have to like somewhat prepare them, if that makes any sense. You know, in a way that you get one of the Guardian Shadows really close to Toughness break-in, and once they apply their Binding of the Golden Age, you break the Toughness gauge of that one Guardian Shadow, while you just auto-attack the other one as much as possible to reduce the stacks from that Guardian Shadow. And then you end up with minuscule damage if you if you are lucky enough. But yeah, that's basically the two options you have. I'm definitely opting for, you know, just breaking them both at the same time and hoping for the best. They also can and probably will imprison some of your characters, so it's good to have yeah, one character in your team, or at least one character in your team that has the ability to dispel those debuffs. Right now I'm in a pretty bad situation where my healer is really low and she's actually the only one who can dispel debuffs, so that imprisonment on her is yeah, a bit scary right now, but luckily the enemies decide to reapply their Binding of the Golden Age here, so they're not going to attack right away. And now you'll see the power of the Dance 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 Light Cone, because yeah, using Tingyuan's ultimate actually puts Jingyuan and Natasha before the next Lightning Lord. And that means I will not only get 5 stacks on my Lightning Lord, I will also not only get 7, but I will get a full 10 stacks, and that should probably be enough to kill the enemies here. And yeah, Natasha is just going to... She can chill. She can chill. Let's do like one ultimate, you know, just to see the nice animation, but yeah, we are winning the fight here. For the second part of Memory of Chaos Stage 10, we are fighting Kafka once more. This will be the first time I fight her with Blade. Well, I guess Simulated Universe would be the exception, but yeah, this is basically our first Memory of Chaos fight with Blade against Kafka. So let's see how that turns out. I have a pretty good feeling about this, but yeah, let's see. So, first of all, we of course want to get our ultimates up for the second wave. We have quite a lot of cycles remaining this time, so I'm not too worried about time. I feel like I can definitely take my time here to, you know, prepare as much as possible for what's to come. After getting Silverwolf's ultimate up, I feel like I'm ready for the next phase. I'm going to use Blade's ultimate here, because why not? Which is also going to activate Luocha's field. And then we simply take care of these leftovers here. And then we are fighting one of those shapeshifters out of the Sanctus Medicus disciples. Yeah, nothing too scary, nothing we have not already dealt with quite a lot of times. So we are going to apply a Quantum Weakness here. Then using our Silverwolf's ultimate right afterwards. That's a lot of break damage, and you can see how I'm basically immediately very close to breaking this guy's toughness gauge, which is going to happen right now. 2 birds with 1 stone, breaking the toughness gauge of the boss and also removing all of the revive buffs from the enemies, and by that also the lifesteal buff from the boss. And I gotta say, it feels really nice to use Welt together with a Blade. Since usually, you see, I'm using Welt together with Seele most of the time. And the problem is that both of these characters really want to use a lot of skill points, right? Like whenever it's their turn, you basically want to use their skill, but there's just not enough skill points for both of them. So what I usually end up doing is I have to basic attack, you know, with one of them, which usually is Welt, so that always feels really bad, since I feel like I'm not making, you know, I'm not making like a 100% use of them. But yeah, with Blade, that problem is entirely gone. Blade is not using a lot of skill points, so I always have enough skill points to use them with Welt, and I can basically use his skill whenever I can, which also means that his ultimate is coming up a lot quicker, and yeah, it feels really nice. I really like if you asked me what is my favorite thing about Blade, I would probably say it's that he just doesn't use that many skill points. It's just, you know, it's very different, because usually a hard carry, and I kind of consider him a hard carry, you know, they use a lot of skill points because they use their skill like pretty much every turn, but he just doesn't, and I do think that is really nice, and I hope that more characters like that come out for you to, you know, be a bit more free with your decision on how to use skills. So, our boy, the Sanctus Medicus boss enemy here, the Shapeshifter, he is taking his last breaths right now. I know it's very sad. We are going to miss him very much. But yeah, I can take him out with Wolf here, which is going to save me one turn, since she was the last character in the turn order. But she managed to kill the boss in this turn, which means we are not going to switch cycles, we are going to restart the cycle. So, in the final wave, we are facing one more of these shapeshifters together with Kafka. The decision of who to kill here first is quite difficult, to be honest, because both of these bosses are kind of annoying. Kafka has very strong debuffs. She can dominate a character, which makes them basically use basic attacks against their own teammates. And the Shapeshifter, of course, we know what he does. He's going to summon minions, he's going to be annoying with lifesteal, and yeah. But still, I do think Kafka is the bigger threat, so we are going to focus on her first. Thanks to Kafka already being weak to both Imaginary and Wind, we can guarantee a quantum weakness when we are using Silverwolf's skill, which means that Silverwolf as well can go ahead and break Kafka's gauge. And that means all of our 4 characters are going to break her toughness, and hopefully we can make use of that so she doesn't, you know, dominate us too much. So I'm waiting with Luochar's ultimate until the Shapeshifter is going to summon his friends, which he's doing right here. Now I'm going to use the ultimate to dispel the buffs, of course, so now I do not really need to care about them too much. And yeah, since he's not going to be able to use his lifesteal, we are going to slowly but surely get some damage on him as well, since Welt and Blade are dealing some AoE damage at least. Obviously, I'm still going to focus on Kafka, but it's quite nice that the other boss is going to take some damage in the process as well. This fight is actually feeling a lot more comfortable than the last time when I fought Kafka. There's probably a lot of reasons why, and it's not because Blade is such an OP character, it's because probably, you know, like Blade is not using a lot of skill points, so now I can use Welt's skills a lot more, which means I'm going to have more toughness break. I also finally got an outgoing healing chest on Luochar, which means that his heal even got improved further, so that definitely feels a lot safer too. And I guess it's really nice to be able to break both enemies' toughness at once, because we are dealing at least some AoE damage with Blade. So yeah, this fight, quite honestly, felt pretty comfortable with this setup. And I gotta say, the whole Memory of Chaos, just as I expected when I read what the Memory Turbulence does this time around, it really felt to me. And I would be very interested in your guys' opinions if you felt the same way. But in my opinion, this was probably the easiest Memory of Chaos so far. I'm not sure if that is, you know, if they somehow intended that. Or maybe it's also just me. I don't know, because I got really lucky with this buff this time around. And, you know, I had the right characters for this. So, I don't know, but I would be interested if, you know, if you guys feel like this Memory of Chaos was especially easy for you, or, you know, maybe it was even, I don't know, maybe it was even harder for some of you, I don't know. Maybe someone doesn't really have a single character with follow-up attacks or anything, I don't know, but yeah, here we go. We did it once again. The Memory of Chaos is already complete pretty much on the first morning after it got released. I guess that was pretty far this time. But yeah, this memory turbulence, that was crazy good, man. That was crazy good. I would not be too unhappy with them to, you know, if they made the future Memories of Chaos as accessible as this one, I want to call it. But yeah, I'd be interested about your guys' thoughts on that as well. So feel free to put it below in the comment section if you want to. And at the end, let's take a look at my characters, of course, so you guys know what I was using here. Going to quickly go through all of them. If you guys want to check out any of my characters, you know, in any more detailed way, feel free to, as usual, pause the video at any point that you wish to. You will see that I switched out some of my relics with the new ones, the new, what are they called? The fucking Hacker Man. Dude, Hacker Man set? It's called something like that. That Hacker Man from outer space. I don't know. That's not what it's called, but I will call it that, dude. Hacker Man from outer space. That's what the set is called. It's canon, okay? That's what it's called. But yeah, that set is pretty great because you already get a speed bonus for only having 2 pieces of that set, which I think is amazing. And if you get all 4 pieces, and I have that on my Tingyuin, for example, if you have all 4 pieces and you use an ultimate on one of your allies, so it's basically good for, you know, harmony characters, obviously, but also it works also on healers when they use their heal on the allies. What it does is it speeds up your whole party for 1 turn. And that's kind of nice, because not only do you get a speed bonus from having 2 of the relics, but you also give your entire team a speed boost if you use your ultimate after having, you know, 4 of the relics. So I do think that new set is really amazing, and it is very much worth it to give it to your harmony characters at least. If you can, I would say maybe even on your healers. But yeah. Check out what I'm using right now, if you're interested, and yeah, I'll just let you enjoy the rest of this video. And of course, for the end, I want to thank you guys so much for giving me some attention here, for watching these videos of mine, for enjoying the game, for enjoying Honkai Star Rail together with me, and of course enjoying the more competitive side of it, the Memory of Chaos, and so on. I love the theory crafting. I love, you know, I love diving into these and trying to figure out how to beat them. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I hope it will stay a lot of fun in the future as well. And yeah, what else can I say? But I wish you guys the best of luck as well if you're still going to attempt the Memory of Chaos as well. Congratulations, of course, if you've already cleared it. And yeah, I would be interested to hear from you guys if you also thought that this Memory of Chaos was a bit easier than the previous ones. But who knows, maybe it's just me. Anyway, I wish you guys a wonderful week, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next video.